Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome to this new podcast.
Sure.
Or this new episode, sorry, not new podcast.
Welcome.
Yes. This week we actually just have Sebastian here over. We're just gonna talk about some topics. It's probably gonna be a shorter episode, but
And for
the
the people who-
cameraman as well.
Don't know, Sebastian
The
was...
most important guest.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
of all
It was our
series.
cameraman, actually, before.
He
But
is.
now he got
So-
fired, so...
Fuck.
Oh,
we have another cameraman joining us today.
all right. We're gonna talk about. I
don't
mean,
think
we
so.
touched on that on the first episode. A bit of Sebastian's story,
Really?
kind of. I mean, Sebastian came in the first time in the first episode.
Oh yeah.
You talked about yourself a little bit, but let's just recap. Who are you? What do you do? I know it's always the wrong question, right? But okay, go on.
So my name is Sebastian Attanasio. I'm from Italy, and I came to study for 2 years here in Sweden in this amazing school, Vitvelska.
It's amazing.
And yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
And I live with my grandma. It's pretty bad. I don't like the Swedish weather, but I have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's really cold today. That's true.
Yes.
All right,
And that's it.
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your goals? Do you have any? You actually told me that after school you went to do what was it?
Military.
Military. Why?
Okay, because I was always influenced by my father that is military also.
Okay.
He's always been like really strict on me and like whatever I had to do, and he always influenced me like on being a military.
Don't
He-
forget the microphone.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really wanted me to be a military. So there's not like a main goal that I have like after school. I don't even know like why I chose IB, but it was maybe to learn a third language and learn some experience like living alone and doing stuff like that.
Mhm.
And now that I'm going back to Italy like next year, hopefully,
All right.
if I finish the school,
course.
I'll try to get in military. I have different I don't know how to say it in English, but different tests I have to do for
Okay.
like different roles, and I'm gonna try from the highest to the lowest.
All right.
And
Yeah,
where I
makes
get
sense.
in, I'll get in.
Okay, so David, what's your opinion on military?
It's
Well,
cool.
what do you think?
I think it's dope.
No, what about like? Do you think that
It's a cool thing
People-
to serve your country.
have to be
No,
part
I
of the
don't
military?
think people have to.
Like, should they be forced? For
No, I don't
example,
think so.
no. Okay, and you, Sebastian, what do you think? Controversial topics.
I think if it's like here in Sweden, if it's only for 8 months, like 8 months training, I think that's fine. But if you have like conscription, like that you have to go and like make that your career, that is not right.
Sure, makes sense. Makes sense.
I
Wow.
think everybody should like get the opportunity to do it. You know, I think they should like advertise it. You know, it's like promote it. It's like for people finishing school and stuff. Like for example, here in Sweden, I think that's cool. And then a lot of like basically everybody knows about it at least. And then they have the opportunity to join or finish this training, this 8-month long training or 9-month.
Sure,
I don't think it should be like necessary or like
mandatory.
mandatory for
Sure.
everybody.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. I think you should have a choice.
Mhm.
But yeah, advertising, sure, why not? But Sweden is not the greatest example of like needing a military or putting a lot of, I guess, of
No,
the
I
budget.
think they have very
I don't
low
know.
budget.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but like they don't like for example compared to the US, they
Sure.
like,
Yeah, of
the
course.
budget is way like even like percentage wise, like not just okay, the US has a way bigger budget like for the whole country. Just talking like the percentage, like how many percent goes to the military, like per year.
Sure.
Yeah, but maybe US has always been like a military power, like
Yeah.
in history.
Military
I guess so.
oriented, I
But,
guess.
He wants to like keep that role, that name that he has.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
maybe it's about the
neutral
mindset
country.
as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sweden is at least a neutral country, right?
Mhm.
Sure. Okay. So, segueing from that, I actually wanted to talk about a topic that I've thought a lot about for the past year or so since I read this book, and well, two actually: procrastination and laziness. And this goes for everything, be it business, out of business, school, not school, work, whatever. First of all, I want your opinion, both of yours opinions, whatever.
Your opinions.
Yeah, sure, your opinions. Yeah,
First of all,
on procrastination.
yeah, what does that mean?
When you leave something for a later time, right?
Ah,
Like
okay,
for
yeah.
example, homework. It's like, okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
do it today. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
A
gonna do it
reason
tomorrow.
might be because you are lazy,
Mhm.
right? But what do you think, Sebastian? Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing, somewhere in between?
It's really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you need to try to be constant, like in everything you do, to be good in whatever a sport, life, or a job. You need to be constant in what you're doing, and like divide different sections over time. But if you like procrastinate, and that's something I really do a lot, you tend to bring like everything to the end, and it's gonna be hard to like do everything at the end.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Like if you leave it all to the very last minute,
Yeah,
you have no
Yeah,
time.
There's
same with,
something-
like schoolwork and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
homework
especially,
or just
yeah.
like studying for a test.
Yeah, I had the same outlook for a long time, but there's this book that I read or I listened to. It's called Originals. I think I mentioned it before.
You
Yeah, I
mentioned
did. I did do it. Yeah, but yeah, it talks about this in one of the chapters, and it actually says that procrastination can be a good thing, actually, which is you might disagree, but well, the way the book presented it was that there are two types of procrastination. At least, like I think it was Egyptian language. They had two words for like
Okay.
good procrastination and bad procrastination. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was it. Okay, so bad procrastination
Egyptian
is
people out there.
I don't know.
yeah, it's like whatever you think of procrastination nowadays. But good procrastination could be well, it's normal procrastination, but you do it at a time like later in the process that you still have time to complete that task, but you don't do it once you get that task. And what it does is that all that time that you spent not doing it, it was in the back of your head. So you're still thinking about it. And even if you don't know, you're still developing that idea, right? Subconsciously. So that's the idea behind that. So let's say you have an essay to write in school, right? If you leave it for the last minute, of course, you're not going to have time to complete it. But instead of doing it once you get the assignment, if you do it, I don't know, after half the time that you had passed, you still have time to complete it, but you waited a long time. Now you have all those other ideas in your head that you got from that time.
It's a cool way of looking at it.
All right, so does that change your mind
Or
or not at all?
I mean, I've I think I've done that because my I always procrastinate. You know, I never do anything like first minute. Like when I get an assignment, I never do it like
Sure,
right away.
sure.
So I've basically done that. And yeah, I agree when you say it like this, because like you can change your mind. For example, okay, I've actually done like for example assignments. Sometimes we start in class, you know, and it's like okay, we need to like pick a topic and then start writing like right away this lesson. But then sometimes I'm thinking about the topic and stuff like 2 days later. Like I've already written like I don't know like 400 or 500 words. I've already started. I don't want to change. And I'm just like oh this is kind of shit topic. I don't know what to write. And then it's like yeah I maybe should have changed. Took something else. But like since we already had that lesson, we need to start writing on it. So
Sure.
sometimes you're like oh I should have chosen something else. And that's actually if you do this type of procrastination, and that can be a good thing to think about. It's like oh I might actually
Sure.
choose another topic because I find this kind of boring, the one I have currently, for example.
All right, makes sense. And you, Sebastian, what do you think?
I have no idea. Maybe that's not the case for me because, like, if I procrastinate something, I just forget about it.
But do you do things always like last minute or every time.
I
Like,
try
once you
not.
get it.
I try not to. But
Okay.
it always happens. It's not my fault.
Of course, it's your fault.
No, it's just
Okay.
myself. I don't know why.
That doesn't make
That-
sense.
It's
But
my laziness.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good transition to laziness.
Yeah, because
Okay.
even when we get like the assignment and we have to do it in class, and we have to start in class, I can't start in class because I have no idea. Like I don't get ideas. So I don't know what to write.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you right when you say like you sleep on it, or you can do that for several days.
Nah.
But at least for me, once I thought of that, it actually helped me. Because, like, for example, we had this really big essay in class, and in the very beginning, I had no idea what to really do. Right? I had kind of a topic, but I didn't know how to go about it. So time passed. I didn't do anything for like a couple months, and then after, like in the end of the summer, then I had a better idea, more concrete idea, not by doing it, but just by having thought of it once or several times without really giving it too much importance
Mhm.
through the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Or I get what you mean.
Okay, sure. All right, about laziness. This is something I actually saw this week, and I sent you, David. I think you
Gary Vee
remember.
post.
Yeah, Gary Vee post. Let's explain it to Sebastian. So, it was his outlook on laziness. Usually, people say it's a bad thing, just like procrastination. Um, but the way he described it was as a tool to actually find out what you don't like to do. So think about it. If you are in school and you're really lazy um, on this project, well, it's pretty obvious that you don't want to do it, right? But if you find something, whatever it is, like another activity, a job, something that you're not lazy because you always want to do it, then that's something you should pursue, right? Or it's more likely that's gonna suit you as a person, right? So it's just a tool. I'm not saying it's a good thing for everything. And also with school, like we don't really have a choice if we want to complete school, at least high school, right? That makes sense. Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree with him to a certain extent.
Okay.
Like for example, okay, like in school, it's like we have multiple like assignments, like different subjects, right? Okay, maybe in like I don't know, like physics, right? One,
Sure.
and then like another could be like Swedish or like English. It's like the English one's like super boring. It's like, oh, I really don't want to do this. But the
Yeah.
physics one might be like, oh, it's actually pretty interesting. I'd love to.
True.
Like just I like doing it. Then it's like, I might might to might want to work with something that that involves physics,
Or is related.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But although, like for example, chores and stuff, it's like, okay, I need to
Yeah.
clean. It's like, oh, I hate cleaning so much. It's like you do it, but you're super lazy.
Yeah,
You're
I mean-
procrastinating. But I mean, okay, you're not gonna be a cleaner at least,
Sure.
but you have to do it. At the end of the
True.
day, you have to do like
True,
the
true.
chores and stuff. So there are some stuff that you have to do. So I agree to him, or I agree with him to a certain extent.
I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think the point is knowing, just like using it as a tool to know that thing.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, since I'm lazy about this, I'm not gonna do it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because some things like school chores, you have to do it,
Mhm.
right? Sebastian,
Sorry.
comments? Did you, did you
yeah.
zone out?
Kind of, but I think that laziness is more of a consequence of
Sure.
something that doesn't interest you.
Yeah, exactly. Just like we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
No, but did you hear what we said?
Kind of.
So as a tool to find out what you don't like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
I think it's pretty obvious, but it's something that's it's good to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Especially in like assignments and stuff, and when you try new stuff, it's like it's easy to think about. It's like, oh yeah, it's just a school assignment,
Sure.
or like whatever. But if you think about it, it's like, oh, it's actually pretty fun, and it's always good to actually, think about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
But it's also useful for like a future job.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
have
That's
to
the main
find-
point,
Yeah,
right?
if you want to find like, you don't want to find a job that bores you, and then for consequence you don't want
Of
to do it
course.
because it makes you, yeah, like you're lazy to do that job because you don't like it. But if you find a job that likes it, like I think your father likes really his job
Sure.
because he loves car and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I don't think he gets bored and of his job, so he doesn't procrastinate, and
I
he's
guess.
not lazy
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I just want to comment about is something I hear sometimes, right? At least about me. People asking me like, "Oh, why are you working so much on that thing or whatever, or why don't you just like spend time doing whatever fun stuff or what they deem fun, right? Or
Mhm.
like hanging out with people or something, well, which I am doing, but like I don't know, going to parties, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
And my answer to that is that like it's hard looking from the outside, but when you really find something that you like to do, be it work or not, it's very well, it becomes very much like leisure,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing, that you have to find a job that you like to do.
Yeah, so it
'Cause then
doesn't feel like a job, right?
exactly.
It doesn't feel like a chore, right? Not well, it is a job for
Mhm.
sure, but a chore. Sebastian, can I include you in this conversation? Did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think?
Do you think the same way, by the way, about the military?
Um, I
Like,
don't know,
do you
cause
see it
like,
as a job?
yeah, I see it as a job, but like I have to get there and try it first,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
to see if I like it. And I don't think I'm gonna be lazy in that field, but
Mhm.
you never know.
Yeah, sure, sure. It might be some aspect that you really don't like,
Yeah,
or
probably.
yeah,
But a lot of times you have like every job is heavy in some way. Like it's hard to do in some way.
sure,
So something you always have to like accept it, even if you don't like it.
yeah. Oh, one thing that I also heard, I don't remember where now, but was that the best job wasn't the one that you really loved the good parts. It was one that you could really bear the bad parts, right?
Mhm.
That was easy to bear the bad parts, right? So like with business, for example, there's an aspect that you there is bad, really bad. I can't get something out of my head right now, but that you really don't like. Whatever, be
I would say
personal.
like statistics and like keeping
Sure.
track of like numbers and stuff. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
count everything, you know. But it can be fun, or I mean, it can be
Or
bearable, you know. Especially if you do it with someone. It's like, okay, let's do it, you know.
sure,
Let's just
but I guess it's
count.
for me it's less bad than doing something
Yeah.
in school,
Yeah, agreed.
for example.
Agreed.
At least for me,
Same.
that's personal. Yeah, that's it. Next topic. What I actually
Go.
what?
Let's go.
Let's go. So one thing that I actually really like to talk about, and this could apply to you, Sebastian, as well, or talking for me to talk about with you. It's goals, but not like your goals or my goals, but more so goals in general. What do I mean by that? I mean that I really like to talk to people and try to figure out with them what they like to do, and all this stuff that we've been talking about, like to try to figure out what your passion is, right? Is something that really interests me. For example, a friend of mine, right? We go to school together, and he really likes to do he really likes to do stuff with or he would like to do stuff with robotics, right? But um, that was all I knew about him, like his career choice and stuff. It was all turned to that. However, when I actually spoke with him, he he went on to say that he actually really liked cooking and baking,
Okay.
which is like it could be related, but it's usually completely unrelated, right?
Mhm.
So figuring out that type of stuff, or like going back and thinking, oh yeah, I really like to do that thing, but I forgot about it because I had to do all this other stuff. That's really interesting to me. So maybe we can use Sebastian as the test. Can you tell us anything about your own interests, like that you do in your free time? Right, when you have some free time, what do you do now? What do you used to do? And do you think that any of that could interest you in or it could not be clear as a career path, but it could be something, at least nowadays?
Mm, maybe like when I was in Italy, I used to play soccer. Like
Sure.
not in a professional team, but like I used to play soccer like almost every day.
Mm.
I really wanted to be a soccer player, but then I understood that it's really hard to become one and to have success in it and like make it like a living thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have different hobbies. Like I like to do photography. With
Yeah, the camera.
the
Of
camera
course,
that
it's yours.
it's doing this. Especially here in Sweden because like there's a lot of nature and it's really nice to make photographs of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like something. It's not been a long time passion, but lately I've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah.
How do you think your passion like affects your day-to-day life? Like, for example, if you have like photography, I've never done it like the way you do it as a hobby, but I can find it like pretty relaxing, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that that for example after a stressful day at school, like going out and taking photos and stuff, is that something like relaxing, something that helps you out like
Oh yeah,
day to day?
it helps a lot. Like
Is it
especially
relaxing?
yeah,
Or-
it is relaxing. Like you because taking pictures is more. You need to get that inspiration. Like
Mm.
you have to find that perfect moment.
Yeah, because there's more than just like pressing the button on the
Yeah,
camera, right? There's like the
It's like-
creativity, like it's
It's
like how can I
creativity.
take this photo, right?
Yeah, and like finding the good angle, like even hearing the nature that is talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
until
Sebastian,
you
just
find-
don't forget the microphone.
Oh yeah, right. Until you find that perfect moment of light during the daytime or whatever. It's really relaxing. It makes you focus and like clear your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. One thing you mentioned soccer before. Just going back a little bit, because you said that. Well, yeah, for sure. I don't know the intricacies, but becoming a soccer player for sure is really hard, right? You have to be really good and all.
Yeah,
But
it's not only that. Like
training and
No,
finding like
yeah, but you really need to know people.
yeah, sure.
Okay, you can be like really, really, really good
Mhm.
and like become from no one to a really
Sure.
famous. Like what
Yeah,
happened
if
to
you're
Ronaldo.
found by someone, right?
Yeah, found by someone. But most of the times, if you're like an average player, you're not gonna have any future if you don't know someone that is inside the soccer management. I had like my kind of an uncle. I don't know
Sure.
that was like really really good at playing soccer, and his father was like a soccer.
Coach.
No, it's like
Yeah, the
referee.
referee.
Yeah, the referee, and he played like in the Italian C series.
Yeah.
Okay, but he never managed to go like forward because he didn't have any connection with someone important that could bring him up.
Yeah.
So he had to stop and get into military. So
Yeah. No,
that's
because
what happens.
I think that nowadays, of course, the past had to have been much harder. I can't really tell you, but of course. But nowadays, I feel it's becoming increasingly easier to reach those points, even if it's not professional. Let me let me just build my thought here. So imagine that instead of well, you play in a team, right? And you start using the tools that we have nowadays. Social media, that's a big one. So if you start advertising yourself, your personal brand, social media, even and and that like it's more of your skill of connecting with people online than actually your skill in soccer, for example. But regardless of that, if you start connecting with people there, you start building a following, right? You can choose two ways. Either you can maybe you're noticed by someone, or you become a professional entertainer in that field, right? So that's a choice you can make. But at the same time, you have a lot more opportunity nowadays because of the internet and because of that. So even now, right now, if you wanted to go for that, you could start training again, start posting stuff, regardless of the amount of people that actually see you, right? You have to keep doing stuff consistently and with quality, of course. If you do that, then you can get somewhere. I think that's the reality we're living now, right?
Can I say something?
Sure, of
Is
course,
that
of course.
um, before maybe it was harder because there wasn't any social media,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there were also less people that were trying to do it. Now
sure.
there's like so many people that are trying to do the same thing on social
Yeah,
media.
yeah. That
Mhm.
comes
And
with it.
like how before it was harder to get in to make yourself known by others.
Sure.
Now it's harder because there's more people there that can do the same thing. Like um, I don't know, 30 years ago, it was hard to make you know for because you were good in soccer because you had to find like a manager that finds you like in real life and
Sebastian is.
needs to bring you like in a soccer team and show yourself off. While now you can do it by yourself, but there's everybody can do it by himself.
Yeah,
And
of course.
I agree as well. And the thing is that I think before, like for example, 30 years ago, it was different. Like the the way you were advertising yourself was through like you had to have good networking skills, right? You had to know certain people, right? As you said. But for example, now with social media and stuff, I feel that okay, you still need good networking skills and stuff, but I feel that social media skills is even more important to be able to
Oh yeah,
post
for sure.
like post with good quality videos with good quality like interesting videos basically, which before, for example, for like 30 years ago, you maybe didn't need to do, right? Because then it was actually about like the soccer. But now, if you want to like get your name out there, for example, Instagram is a great place to start. And then you need good
Yeah,
social media skills, in my
yeah. But the
opinion.
new social medias are having even more organic reach, right?
Hmm.
I don't know if you know what that is, Sebastian. I don't know if I
no.
told you. Yeah, organic reach is pretty much just like when people naturally find your content there. It's not that they have to search up, or it's like the social media is oversaturated, so they can't find you naturally, right? Or like when you find someone through a hashtag that you follow, that's usually organic. That's why we call it. But yeah, I agree with you. But also, I think it's another ability that we should have is to work between the niches, or and that is to actually get on a specific niche, be it like a um, soccer practice YouTube video, whatever, but something specific, right? Because that's the key. Because I agree with you, Sebastian, that a lot of people are trying to do it, and that's true, of course. But to win that, you have to find your own audience, and if you make a niche, right, in that, I don't know what it would be, but it has to be something specific. Then you can be noticed in general, or just because of your niche, right? All right. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right, and that you have to find even if there's so many people that are doing, there's always a possibility. Like you need to be creative and find something unique about yourself that nobody can do it, so that you put yourself outside the media borders, so that more people will follow you because you're like one of the few that can do that sort of things.
I think a
Yeah.
unique like take on something is very important. Maybe you don't need like a unique idea, like for example
Sure.
soccer, but you need like a unique take on it. Like for example,
Or
introducing like
personality, right?
yeah,
Be a
or
personality.
yeah, exactly.
We're different people.
Yeah.
Right. Just that alone
Mhm.
can influence your niche. Okay,
Mhm.
keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For example, like practice videos, like if like skills and stuff. You know, you teach skills through videos and then post them on Instagram.
Sure.
I think you always need a unique take on it because I think there are a lot of like influencers and stuff, like people who are doing the same thing, and it's kind of hard to stick out.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, your personality can play a very big role in that. And
It's
if you
huge.
develop that, I don't mean change it, but I mean just intensify good parts of it, right? That can help it. Okay, just to finish off here, I wanted to talk about something that you actually mentioned before we started, and I want you to explain to us what it is: area of influence and versus area of concern. I'll get you the paper.
All right.
What is
So,
it?
do you guys
Why
know
is it
what it
important?
is? First of all,
No, I don't.
Actually, let me pull up my phone one sec.
Okay. Okay, so he just drew something on the paper. It's like a circle or something.
Yeah, no, it's
But-
yeah, that's for yeah.
But
But
let me-
I just want to like read you the definition because I don't want to get
sure,
it wrong. You know, I
sure,
don't-
but we'll talk about it. Go.
All right. So the circle. So these are circles. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just show you this picture.
Or I show the camera as well. For those who are watching, that's
Okay,
a
so
circle
it's
within a
basically
circle.
two circles, right?
Wait, can I have
I
that?
don't think
No,
you should show
no,
that.
You can't.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty bad drawing. So
all right,
it's basically two circles, and it has to do with your mindset, depending on which
Okay.
one you focus on. So one can be bigger than the other. So let me just read you the definition. The circle of concern, right, is the area that we have no control over. So let me just give you an example. For example,
Okay.
the weather. Okay,
Sure.
stuff that we have like or traffic. You know,
Or
stuff
like natural.
exactly stuff that we have. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we have no control.
No control.
Sure.
And
Got it.
and then the other circle,
The bigger one.
exactly the circle of influence is the area that we have control over. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, like parenting, just a random example. Like
Okay.
we have
But why is one within the other?
basically the thing is that the area of concern, a lot of people who think negatively, I guess you could say, are always like saying it's like, oh shit, the weather is so bad, you know. It's like, oh,
Sure.
so much
A
traffic.
quote
basically.
bad mindset.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So bad mindset. And then basically the two circles, right? Which one would be the bigger one? The area of concern, right? And the area of influence would be smaller. And I think this is a very interesting way of seeing or like looking at it because I always like strive to have the area of influence bigger. The things that we can influence, for example, you know, parenting, as I said, or stuff that.
But the size is the importance.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I believe that you should always have the area of concern should always be as small as possible. So it's like, okay, the weather's bad, doesn't matter, you know, I'll get an umbrella. It's cold, I'll put on a jacket, you know, things like that, basically, right?
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
And then always the area of influence, which you can influence, should always be the bigger one, the bigger picture, thing that you should always look at. I don't know. Do you guys agree? Have you thought of that? Like-
Look, I think a lot about mindset, and I think that really could drive a person
Mhm.
to do whatever, right? Be it nothing
Mhm.
or something very important.
Yeah, because the reason behind this is that the area of concern, those are things that we cannot like change.
Yeah.
So there's
okay.
no reason
it's the opposite.
whatsoever to put like
So it should
our
be
energy-
as small
exactly
as
or
possible.
focus our energy towards that. Like the weather shit, that's life.
Yeah,
You
or
know?
or
It's
even like
it's like oh it sucks, you know. So stop complaining. You know,
yeah.
that's
What if
basically
you
that you should focus your energy on the area of
Uh-huh.
influence, things that you can influence.
sorry? What if you, for example, do concern yourself with the area of concern,
Mhm.
but in a good way? So if you're optimistic, right?
Okay.
Regardless of the weather, you're gonna say it's good weather. Let's say it's cold outside. Oh yeah, it's good because it's been warm for a long time. Whatever,
Mhm.
right? Or just having a positive outlook. Would that diminish the circle?
Yeah, I think Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I think this
I think it would, because it's important in a bad way, right?
exactly. I
Okay.
think this has to do with like if you think of it negatively,
Sure.
like complaining and stuff. Because a lot of people, like people sometimes I talk to, and I was like they're complaining a lot. It's like
Yeah.
things that they can't influence. So I see that the AOC, so the area of concern, is way
Yeah.
bigger than the area of influence. It should always be the other way around.
Sorry, Sebastian, say it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna say something. Go ahead.
I think you guys are right, and we shouldn't focus on area of concern,
Mhm.
but we should always try to make the area of influence bigger. Like if the weather is cold, we can't change that. It's
Exactly.
but
Yeah, of
we
course.
could dress in a heavier way,
yeah.
so it would
Mhm.
we could still kind of influence
Mhm.
our
Exactly, and that's taking a
ourselves.
positive
Yeah,
like
Approach.
positive approach.
Yeah,
Something
I
negative.
feel like complaining is something that, like, okay, I guess the basis of complaining is to drive change, right?
Mhm.
But the real problem is when you complain and you can't have a solution, or you can't make up a solution,
Exactly.
or you can't really help.
Exactly, and that's what
make
the
that up,
AOC
right?
is about, area of concern.
Yeah, because the area of concern, if I understood it well, it has no solution,
Exactly,
right? Or the only
Can't
solution
influence
is to have a better mindset about it.
pretty much.
I guess so. Yeah, no, but yeah, that's a good one to think about. It's a good way to visualize it, right? It's well, it's really to do with theories and models.
Mhm.
Well, if speaking in a general way, because it's always these are always things that help us visualize
Yeah, and
things of the world,
yeah,
right?
these are things like when my uncle told me about this. He drew it, like
Sure.
circles. At first, he drew the AOC, the area of concern, bigger, the area of influence smaller, and it was like, "This is how most people think. It should be other way around. Area of influence should be the bigger one. Area of concern should be the smaller one." So it's always cool to be able to visualize it. The circles.
Yeah.
So you can always say, okay, this one's bigger, this one's smaller. It's like, how should it be? And act in that way, or have that mindset at least.
Sure.
I love or stuff like this, visualizing it.
No,
I find it way
do-
easier
Yeah,
to
I agree.
understand it.
Sebastian, you want to say something?
No, but like, yeah, try to make the size of the area of influence bigger,
Sure. Yeah.
because as we know, size matters.
Oh, sure, Sebastian. Sure. All right. Look, this episode we're trying something new. We are cutting it a little bit shorter because we're gonna try to increase the amount of episodes we put out. We're not promising anything, but it's mostly gonna be maybe a bonus video along the week. All right, this is for the people that listen or watch until the end, but the episodes are gonna be a little bit shorter, so under an hour always, because we've been doing the ones an hour and a half. We could do that for specials or with guests, but I feel like it's good practice to do it a little bit. Just pull back a little bit so people can have some time to digest all the stuff.
Yes.
Yes. All right, guys. It was fun to talk to you. It's always fun, but I think it's very important to talk about those topics. And yeah, next week we'll see you back there.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.